1 hour into the op, I get called by the anesthesiologist. And they're like, hi, Ms. Nkosi, it's this person. I'm like, okay. She's like, we ran into a complication. I'm going to need you to rush to theater right now. When I get there, my child is chained to every machine you can think of.
Piped, chained.
Piped.
There's more
Ventilator.
pipes than him.
Yeah, I couldn't see him at all. His face is bandaged. They're like, his lungs collapsed. Your child can't breathe.
Hello, my name is Lesego Mofokeng. Be welcomed, Magnified Mamas. Let's connect, cultivate, and create. Hello, Magnified Mamas. Welcome once again to our In Between the Moments podcast. We are back with a bang. And today I've got who I call my personal Shiro. She knows I call her my Shiro, one of my own. So grin and bear with us. It's actually going to feel like we're just hanging out together, okay? I've got Ukabsile Nkosi. We call each other Mzala. But this has been a long time coming. Welcome,
Thank
Mzala.
you, Mzala.
How are you?
I'm great.
How are you feeling?
Good.
Good. Guys, can I just give you guys a backstory, right? This was supposed to have happened
Last year.
It's been.
Yeah.
You know that guy, the devil, he's a liar. When you're about to testify and share of, coming out of the trenches because of God, he has been delaying this happening for many months. So we're here. I don't know if you also want to share what happened yesterday, just to give a backstory of what it took for us to be here. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And then just give a backstory and let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
Let's
I
hang
like
out.
that. I think you've introduced me, so your audience do know who I am. Just touching on what you said, testifying about God is something that the devil doesn't like, because we are trying to show him that he doesn't have the power, and we are giving the power to God. So with us, like we said, it's been long overdue since last year. And when we finally had a date and we finally had a time, what happens?
There's always something that comes up.
Gabi gets into a car accident.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a car accident since 2019.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So for that to just happen on a random Friday,
which is yesterday. And that's the third attempt, right? Of stopping this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's when I told you I am not canceling this, because that is the devil trying to derail me from sharing about what God has done for me and my son. And I said, he's not going to have the last say.
Definitely
God
not.
will.
Yeah.
I'll make means. We'll make means.
We'll make a way, because we always do.
We do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm here.
Okay. So I know, as Mama Magnified family, you guys, as you know, our pillars, we touch on motherhood, we touch on lifestyle, and we touch on anything family, woman, our purpose, So today we are going to be hearing out on Gabi's motherhood journey. One thing I know, and the reason why we call this conversation the in-between moments, is because along my journey of sharing about, motherhood, most people will know that's one of my biggest callings. Children in general, right? They don't have to be biological. I realized that on socials, or just in our sharing, I feel like we generally just share oh, my son is pretty, oh, we're going to, And I realized that there's actually more power in sharing those in-between moments of the lows, because then other people who haven't been in that journey can actually relate, or those who actually are in the journey can feel quite affirmed. So just to give you guys a sort of a background of where we're going with this conversation, you guys, you better buckle up and be ready, because if you thought you have faith, or if you thought your faith is tested, you're about to find out. Yeah. So Mzala, let's get into it, right? Yeah. What is your first experience of being a mother? Talk us through that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the word I would use is being alive would be my first experience. And I like one of AKA's lines. It says, you will never know life until you know death.
Yep.
And for me, I know death. I know what it was like to die.
And you're here
And
today.
being alive, for me, is how I would define motherhood.
So, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps as you're saying that, because someone would be like, being alive, I mean, given, obvious, like, you know.
You were not going to die.
But it was that deep for you as well,
Yes.
you know?
So one of the things that opened my eyes was, firstly, I didn't have an easy pregnancy journey, like how mothers would take pictures every week, see your tummy grow, see this, see that. For me, when I was pregnant, I had doctors telling me, you have no amniotic fluid. The child is not getting the nutrients. The child is underweight. You going to have to give birth early. The child is not breathing. We can't find the pulse.
Yo.
That's what I'm saying when it's saying being alive. And prior to that, by the way, I had a miscarriage, which lended me to have fertility issues.
Sure. So already now you're pregnant, you would think, yay, you're out of the woods.
I'm like, God, you showed up for the girl, even though it was 3 years later. What people don't know is that I didn't have the baby the time I wanted to have a child.
And
that was an answered prayer that happened 3 years later. So if I just have to give timelines, I'm 31 years old this year.
Okay.
Meaning I was trying to have a baby at the age of 27. Because I think that's what...
Which is a healthy age, right?
age. You know, like career stable, you're in a relationship, childbearing age.
Yeah.
And it was not happening.
Sure.
And it was a journey of infertility that I had to go through. Of seeing fertility doctors. Of being on fertility medications. Of going to fertility things.
Fertility this, fertility that.
Artificial inseminations.
Yeah.
This is not working. This didn't work. And I remember with my fertility doctor, we decided that, okay, cool. Now we are opting for IVF.
Yeah.
Because we've tried everything. It's not happening.
Yeah. I remember there was one of the consults I was in there with you.
You went with me, yes.
And it was so difficult to be able to realize for someone like me, where, like I said, you take for granted these things.
Yes.
You know, you think, pee on a stick, yeah, it's positive, go to the gynae, oh, scan, oh, we're in the theater
nice.
room,
Yes.
oh, baby crying. You know,
No.
It's not black and white like that. And again, I'm always going to be so thankful for you for trusting me that way to walk the journey with you, because it actually really made me realize how God operates.
Yes.
You know, we think we can help God. Okay, and I'm going to do this, then this is going to happen.
Yes.
And he had a different plan.
Exactly.
You know? So, I mean, when you're sharing that, we were almost at the end of the road where doctor was like, okay, listen, the chances of this happening naturally were already slim.
Yeah.
Now we're on none.
Now we're on none.
Then
Because
what
nothing
happens?
worked.
We tried.
We tried.
However, I do want to mention you had a very brilliant doctor. And what I loved about that doctor is when we were sitting in the consultation room with her, he would talk the science, the clinic, and then he'd say, but we pray.
Yeah.
That for me was just like, guys, there's no cheating God. You can, uya skolong, ubale, you know, but if you do not connect to the source of life itself,
Yeah.
you know, what are we doing?
Exactly.
You know? So yeah, and then what happens when he's just like end of the road?
Firstly, he told me the amount
Nice.
of how much the IVF is going to cost. And I'm like, on top of what I've already paid, what do you mean? And I remember going home and I prayed and I was crying to God. And I said, God, I don't have that money. I mean, you know my bank account. It doesn't have that amount. So how do you expect me to pay? Because also, this is a healthcare professional. They're not going to do it for free.
Yeah.
He's at work. As much as now we've formed this relationship for years, but he's still working. He's still at work. I wouldn't want my company to tell me, hey, Gabi, thank you so much for working for us, Mara.
But
We'll
the
pay
thing
you.
is,
We'll
no.
pay you after 6 months. No.
He's got bills to pay
Yeah.
as well.
And I bargained with God and I said, God, no, there should be another way. because I really don't have money.
And this is happening.
And this is happening. And one thing I will say that I am still learning
Okay.
and I'm still doing even now is affirmations.
Sure.
I had to look at the self in the mirror and tell myself, I will be a mother one day.
Sure.
I will have my baby boy. And I was very specific. I said, I want a baby boy. Because I come from a family of girls.
Girls, yeah.
And I was like, I want a boy. I had to look at myself, tears and all, and say, you are worthy to be a mother. You will make a great mother. Now, for someone who would walk into that room, they would think Gabi is crazy.
Yeah, because they put your situation here and they hear you saying this, they're like, what's on? Oh,
Exactly. And yeah. And fast forward, pregnancy happened, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to disclose it, how and whatever.
Yeah.
But the pregnancy happened.
Yeah. But Mzala, that was a testament in itself, though. I mean, we don't have to get technical on how, but I think it's quite special because I remember it was the last consultation of the end of the road.
Yes.
And then we were preparing for the first consultation to try other interventions.
Yes.
Wasn't that the point where Dr. now came back and said, congratulations, you are...
No, actually not.
Not?
No.
Okay.
So fast forward, I go on a work conference.
Yes.
And as you know, with the career we do, we're gone for the whole week.
Yeah.
During that week, there was something very unfamiliar that was happening. I was eating quite a lot.
Were you aware of this? Or
No,
you looking at it in hindsight?
But also at the same time, I'm like, I'm also a gym rat. Maybe it's gym, you know?
Yeah.
But we'd literally have, you know how it is, we'd have the supper.
It's go.
And then 2 hours later, I'd go and tell people, is there food left? I'm hungry. And that never used to happen. But for me, pregnancy was never like the first thought in my mind. The frequent urination, the eating a lot. I could see my tummy is getting mkaba-wise. But for me, it's like, I'm just gaining a little bit of weight. I'm just eating a little bit more. It was never. So when we came back from conference, I remember I had such hectic pains that I would say period pains times 50.
On steroids.
That's how the pain was. And the first person I called was my fertility doctor. And I said to him, I have these pains. He's like, Gabi, I'm praying that your uterus is not closed again. But for me to check that, I'm going to need to send you to theater so that we can check. Even for him, pregnancy was not the first thought. To show you that...
The specialist.
To show you that we were not anticipating it to happen. Now, I'm at the hospital. The anesthesiologist is coming. They're preparing me to go to theater. Sharp, I go to sleep. They put me to sleep. I'm in the theater room. And I wake up a few minutes after. They're like, we're done. I'm like, hey, bro, that was quick. I mean, I've been to theater how many times? Probably at that time, I had lost count. Probably more than 5 times.
Yeah, it was heading towards the double digits on the other side of 5.
Yeah, on the other side of 5. And I'm used to this. And I know it takes long. Now I'm in recovery. At the theater room, and the doctor comes and he's like, actually, we saw that you are 8 weeks pregnant. I'm like, me? Pregnant? What do you mean?
With no intervention.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I remember the first call I made was to my mom. Because she was the person I was crying about this with. Because, and she once said to me, if I'm not called by God to be a mother, then it won't happen. And she says, Gabi, you need to make peace with that. That might not be you. God doesn't, I remember she said, you don't tell God how to bless you. That's your fantasy of wanting to be a mother. But if God didn't give you that call, you won't be.
So she had that conversation with you
to say, I want you to have an open mind so that when it doesn't happen, don't beat yourself up for it. Don't blame yourself.
It's not about you.
It's not about you. That means that's what God doesn't want for you at that time.
And that's why I say sometimes I feel that we are so cocky, and we've all been there where we feel we can help God or we can tell God our heart's desires, which is not an issue. But what Mama's saying is very valid to say, at the end of the day, it's his plan for your life.
Yes.
The same life he gave you, remember?
Yes.
Are you Papa Pale?
No.
You know? So I'm thinking, as Mama's saying, obviously we are parents now. I'm getting goosebumps on the side of being a parent to say, these are the type of expectations or conversations we need to, or the realities we need to bring to our children. I know that's one thing I struggle with in particular. You know, I really need to cut the umbilical cord in the sense that you cannot cushion your children forever.
Can't.
And that's where you now realize, actually, I just need to be prayerful because
You can't.
you won't always be there with your child as well.
won't.
Sure.
You
Fast forward now, you're pregnant.
Happy.
It's happening. It's happening.
I'm like, God, everyone is happy. Fertility doctor
Listen.
is the most happiest at this point. But also at the same time, he always said, there's never been a patient who comes to me who never has a child. But I let God be God.
That's why with every consult he will say, but we pray. So he'll tell you the science and he says, comma, we pray.
And that's when he said, Gabi, my journey with you ends here. Now your journey begins with the gynecologist. Because you're pregnant. My job is done. It was to get you pregnant. You are. Go to the gynae. And guess what? Go to the gynae. I'm happy. Everything is going well.
Testify.
Right. And gynae says, I'm going to need you to go to a fertility... I'm going to need you to go to a fetal specialist.
Yeah, I remember.
And I remember in my word, I was like, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. I think a lot of mothers never did.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's a precautionary thing that she does as a gynae to check if the child is fine, the fetus is fine. So there's certain machines that she doesn't have that this person has. So they check like the Doppler effect, the heartbeat, the circulation of the blood, the brain. Like even in those early stages, I was 12 weeks pregnant. And I remember I went to the person, the specialist, fetal specialist.
Yeah.
And it was fine. First consult. Yeah. The child is okay. The child is doing well. And I think I had to go back again at 24 weeks.
Yeah, 24.
Yeah. So when I was there at 24 weeks, they're like checking and everything is like, no, we're fine. She waits for me to sit down, like get dressed, sit down, be in this position. And she's like, we find an abnormality with the child. And in order for us to determine if this is a genetic, we need to do a amniocentesis.
Yeah, with a...
So if you know the procedure, you would know that the highest risk of doing that is to have a miscarriage.
Yeah, it's so risky that you gotta be sure that we're doing this.
Now, for someone who struggled for 3 years to have a child, now you're telling me my child is not okay. Now you are also putting me at risk to say
You're taking the chances further down.
Yeah. And I said, okay, we're going to do it. And I went and I said, God, you gave me this child. You will not take this child from me. You won't. So we're going to do this and you're going to be God. This child is not going nowhere. And they did the amniocentesis. The results came back. The child is fine. It was not a genetic thing. The abnormality was due to the amount of fertility drugs I was taking.
Ooh.
Because remember, I was doing that for years.
Yeah. It was a long journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exposing yourself to certain types of medication actually does alter the health of the baby that you're carrying. So,
which is like such a...
Yeah, because we all wanted to figure out why is this abnormality there? Why is it there?
If it's not genetic.
Right? So the doctors ended up saying, you've been through a fertility journey. So, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And at the time, I don't even know what this abnormality is. It's my first time hearing it. They said that my child has a cleft lip. And I was like, what is a cleft lip?
Which one is
I've
never heard of that.
You see. So, when I was told that, my first thought was, God, what are you doing?
Okay, so now,
yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Why are
guy,
you putting me through
yeah,
this?
okay, we're here now.
Yeah, but why are you putting me through?
Wall after wall.
Yeah.
Are we going forward or there's
Yeah.
going to be wall after
Yeah.
wall? Like,
I will tell you, I started consulting with the plastic surgeon while I was still pregnant because I wanted to understand what the condition is. Because when this child gets born, I don't want to be shocked.
yeah, you want to be prepared.
Now, ask yourself, I'm paying for a consultation with a plastic surgeon while I'm still pregnant, while he hasn't performed any surgery.
While you're paying for the fetal specialist.
Exactly.
Remember, the more specialists, the more money.
Yes.
Right?
And I said to him, I sat him down, I was like, and he's a professor in his field. He's a prof. And I said, Prof, sit me down. Tell me.
Let's talk.
What is this condition?
Yeah,
He
raw.
opens a book. He shows me. This is the condition. And he says, I cannot tell you how bad it is until the baby's born. I can only tell you to say, the fetal specialist saw this. So this is what you can expect. This is how the child's going to look. But I'm going to fix it for you. But I can't tell you how detrimental it is. So for some people who don't even know what a cleft lip is, there's a cleft lip and then there's a cleft palate.
Yes.
Meaning that the lip and the palate are both damaged.
Okay.
And long term, it means the child struggles with speech.
Yeah.
The child doesn't feed properly.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of things that go on, right? And with me, they can't tell me what it is until the child is born.
So the child is here.
Is here.
So that they know what they're now
know to say
dealing
it's
with.
the palate and the lip, or it's just the lip, or you
So
understand?
it still gets even more complex.
Yeah.
Still.
Now I'm like, okay, it's okay. It's my child
Yeah.
that God blessed me with.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
We're doing this.
We're doing this. Now, fast forward. Actually, the day of my baby shower was the day the doctor decided, I'm admitting you.
And how many
be
months were you now pregnant at this
8.
stage? 8.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the end. Like,
Mzala, the end also is not good.
I know. And I'm just trying to paint a picture.
Yes.
Okay,
So
now we are 8 months
yes.
now. Okay.
We're 8. There's no amniotic fluid.
It's iyancipha.
The child is not getting the nutrients. I got what they call a placental abruption, where the placenta detaches from the child.
And the placenta is the source of nutrients and life for the child.
So I have placenta abruption. I've got, the doctor said, I need you to be in hospital so that I can be able to monitor you. Because I can't
it's like
monitor you from home.
surveillance.
Yes.
You need to be under watch.
I never had any issues with blood pressure during my pregnancy. That day when I had to go, I did an emergency C-section. My blood pressure was 200 and something, close to 300.
Guys, a normal blood pressure reading is 120 over 80. To give context, right? That you are not a walking human. Your heart, you should be having a stroke.
Yeah.
Essentially.
They were like, emergency C-section, you're going to theater right now. We're delivering this baby right now. Because if we don't, you're going to die.
And if you die, the baby's also like...
Yeah. Luckily, the father of the child is also there, right?
So you've got that.
But when he's asked a question, that's when I started to panic. Because he was asked, if anything should happen, should we save the mother or the child?
What a loaded question. And that's, you don't just ask that if you don't realize that there is a massive risk here. It's like they're getting consent for worst case scenario, really.
Should we save the mother or the child?
You heard that?
Yeah.
You were not out yet?
No, I was never out. It was just the blood pressure that gave them an indication that something is not okay.
But why did they ask you as well?
No, they asked him.
Oh, okay.
Which is strange, right?
Yeah.
And he said, save the mother. And I was grateful for that. Right? Because you could have opted to say, save the child.
Yeah, it was his choice at the end of the day. And they were asking him,
Okay, fast forward. I'm trying to cut this as short as I can. I deliver the baby, emergency C-section. While I think you've been through C-section.
Yeah.
You're not out. This part is totally alive.
Waist down.
Waist down is what's...
You can...
So you can hear the conversations.
Yeah.
Like, this girl, she almost died. How is the blood pressure? She's... Whatever. Her kidneys are failing.
And guys, Gabi and I are both working in the medical field, right? So we understand what the doctors are saying, you know? My second C-section as well, there were complications, and I was hearing what the surgeon is saying.
Yeah.
So to give you an understanding of, it's not jargon that we don't understand. You are very aware of what they say
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So fast forward, child gets delivered, underweight, weighing 1.5 kilograms. Now that is an extremely
1.5
small child.
It's not even
I could literally hold him like this with my one hand. 1.5 kilograms.
Which makes sense though, right? Because although you're 8 months, the child was not getting nutrients.
Yeah, because also of the placental abruption.
Okay.
Right? Child gets ventilated, not ventilated as such, but like oxygenated, sent to NICU.
The works.
Because also he was not getting oxygen because of the placental abruption.
In your tummy already, he was not getting oxygen.
Yes. So, we'll get there. But immediately when he's sent to the NICU, I'm sent to the ICU. And I'm thinking, what am I doing in the ICU? They're like, Gabi.
Also, you never imagine that moment, right?
No.
Fairy tale says you wheeled, baby comes and crying,
Yeah.
So you're there now, you're going to ICU.
Yeah. They're like, baby,
You
Gabi,
movie.
your kidneys are not working. Your kidneys are not filtering. Now, I start seeing the edema. My legs are huge like this. I can't walk.
That is really one of the signs of a non-functional
I
pair
can't
of
walk. I'm
kidneys.
bedridden in ICU. I can't see my child that I just gave birth to. The father had to take pictures and come show me.
You're awake though, you're conscious.
I'm conscious, but I'm bedridden. I can't walk. My kidneys don't function.
The first hour of your child's life is you guys are separated.
Yes. I couldn't see him. I couldn't hold him.
Monica pictures on the phone, like COVID times almost.
Yeah. Because also I can't go there.
He can't come here.
He can't come
You're
here.
both critical, actually.
Yes, we're both critical. We are both. If we don't treat any of you guys, one person is going to die.
And the irony here is also how it's worst case scenario, but it's also best case of worst case scenario. I don't even know if I'm making sense here. Because the way Nebatlalusa, either one of you could lose your lives.
Yeah.
Right? So
So we need to save both of you. And I'm so thankful to the net kids. So thankful. I had to get a physio who would teach me how to walk again.
A
'Cause I
fully
couldn't
able
walk.
31-year-old woman has to be taught how to walk.
Yes.
Because you were bedridden for that long.
Yeah. I was bathed. I was
Bathed, Mzala.
Yeah. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go to the bathroom. If I needed to do anything, I was doing it on the bed. And there were people assisting me to do it.
And one thing about the hospital, even if you're not critical, I think birth in itself is very, leave your dignity at the door.
Yeah.
But it does help when you have a good team because they really talk you through it to say, this is my job. You are physically not able, where you had to support you
Yes.
until you are able to do it yourself. But
Yes.
mentally, it's not an easy thing to just be like, we're cool, right? It messes with your mind.
I couldn't walk.
Okay.
Fast forward, now
yes.
I still can't walk, but at least now I can be using a wheelchair to be wheeled in to go see my child. I was in a wheelchair until I told the physio, I said, I don't want a wheelchair. We are doing this. I'm forcing myself now. Now it's not about, I am living that. I don't care about the pain anymore.
Yeah.
I want to be fully functional to do this. And I remember the first time I went up there, everyone was worried that Gabi left ICU by herself.
In
and
the
walked
state you're in.
all the way. And mind you, I don't like taking the lift because I've once been stuck and it's been like my biggest fear.
Yeah.
So trust you me, I will take the stairs. I took the stairs in that state.
With the blood pressure,
Yes.
you're putting a strain on your heart already. What are you doing?
Fast forward, I get infected. My C-section gets infected. It has abscess. Now the wound is not healing. It's getting worse.
More problems.
And the gynae says, I need to send you back to theater to take. I said, no, let's find another alternative. I'm not going back
I'm
there.
not doing
I
theater
said,
vibes
if I'm
anymore.
doing this, then I know I'm dying. I'm not doing that. Let's find another way. She gets a what they call a wound care specialist. Guys, also with me,
Specialist.
there's someone called a wound care specialist, someone who helps you make your wound to heal. And the first thing she said to me was, I'm getting you ice packs that you're going to put on that C-section that is fairly new, a week old, 2 weeks old.
Fresh.
And you're going to be putting ice there because you don't want to go to the I said, yes, give it to me.
And Zala, I guess at this point, right, little do you know that, I won't say the worst, but the worst is not over.
No.
Right? Your son is here, you're home. What's the journey like then now that you guys are home? Just so that we can unpack the second part of your journey. Yeah.
Okay. So fast forward a month later, my child gets, 2 weeks later, I get discharged from ICU. I go to the normal ward. I get discharged from the normal ward. My child is still in hospital. 1 month later, he comes back home. Life is good. We are adjusting because the plastic surgeon said we could only fix this cleft when he's 5 months old and weighing certain amount of kilograms.
So I don't remember. Well,
yeah, I don't remember what the
almost.
kilograms were.
Yeah.
Anyway, fast forward, we get to 5 months.
Yeah.
I'm still on maternity leave, by the way.
Yeah, with all of this. And remember,
Yes.
you were a NICU mom, going to the hospital every day.
Yeah.
I think generally moms who've had premature babies will understand the load that comes with, right?
With a C-section.
With a C-section.
That is painful. That's not healing.
Right? So we're at 5 months now.
We're at 5 months.
Okay.
And now child has to go in. I'm prepared, well prepared. Because
you did the homework.
Remember, I did the homework. Yeah, so I'm well prepared. Get me, they're like, guys, anesthesiologist is there. The plastic surgeon is there. This is going to take 2 hours max. Cool. Send the papers. No, okay, bye, baby. Mwah, 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 mwah.
See you now.
See you in 2 hours. Because now I've been in this hospital for years. I'm now friends with receptionists. So I'm thinking I'm not going to sit at the coffee shop and be worrying the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm going to go sit with those ladies instead. Converse and whatever, so that I try to take my mind off the actual procedure. 1 hour into the op, I get called by the anesthesiologist. And they're like, hi, Miss Nkosi, it's this person. I'm like, okay. She's like, we ran into a complication. I'm going to need you to rush to theater right now. Now, first thought is my child dead? And they don't want to tell me over the phone. Because remember, they can't tell you that over the phone.
No,
now,
it's not ethical also.
I get there. Plastic surgeon is sitting outside the theater room. I'm thinking, what's happening? I'm given PPE. I'm given things to wear that they wear in theater. Before I go in, I'm like, what is happening? When I get there, my child is chained to every machine you can think of.
Piped, chained. There's
Ventilator.
more pipes than him.
Yeah, I couldn't see him at all. His face is bandaged. They're like, his lungs collapsed. Your child can't breathe. And they said prior to this, when his lungs collapsed, we couldn't find a pulse. We had to resuscitate him 3 times.
Before even starting?
We had to resuscitate him 3 times. He came back on the 3rd resus, meaning if we gave up on the 2nd resus, we could have declared this child dead.
We
tried to resuscitate as much as we can.
3 times?
Yeah, he came back on the 3rd resus. That's when they found the pulse, that's when they ventilated.
So the first resus didn't work?
No.
Can we say he was
Lungs
gone?
are gone. Yeah, because he can't breathe. No pulse, no nothing, can't breathe.
So he died?
Yeah.
And then the second time again?
Yes. And the 3rd time they find the pulse, they ventilated him. They say your son.
They realize, oh, okay, this is the.
Yeah. They're trying to calm me down. But in that moment, I'm like, I need to know what is happening. Speak to me with the science that I will understand.
What's the crux
I am not those shallow people who are not in the medical. I know exactly what the medical field is.
Give
Talk
it to me
in
direct.
science. Give it to me direct. What's happening? Miss Nkosi, what's happening is we don't have a pediatric ICU here. So we are called an ambulance. We are taking you and your son to Netcare Garden City Pediatric ICU from Netcare Park Lane.
In the condition he's in. They don't have facilities to actually, after 3 resuses.
Yeah. Fast forward, we get there. The anesthesiologist at the time said to me, "No, don't worry. They'll what is it?
Excubate.
Yeah, they'll excubate him like in the next 24 hours. It's nothing serious." I'm standing on that word.
That's where that's where you just like, God, okay, we're doing this.
24 hours turned into more than 6 weeks. My child
A month and a half.
was ventilated. Couldn't breathe on his own. 100% oxygen. In pediatric ICU.
6 weeks.
Yeah, more than.
When you drove in for a surgery that was supposed to be done in an hour and we're going home.
Yeah.
So he was still piped up, that same piped up for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
He's bedridden. He's just lying there.
Yeah. So any slight movement he does, they sedate him. He's sedated.
So it's straining his body.
Yeah.
If he tries to come back, if I can put it like that.
So now, 2 weeks into him being ventilated, the ventilator was through his mouth. And 2 weeks in, the pediatric surgeon says it's no longer safe for the ventilator to be through his mouth. We need to do a tracheostomy. And I said, "Are you telling me you need to send my child to theater?" They said yes.
You, the mother who's been theatering now,
I said, the same child who went to theater healthy and was dead and had to be resuscitated. Now he's going in his weak state.
Weaker state.
And are you telling me I should be... I said, my child is not going to theater. I fought. Me and that pediatric surgeon, we fought.
Was that your motherly instinct? Was that God? Was that Holy Spirit? What was going on?
It was my motherly instinct. I said, if this child goes to theater, he won't make it. If this child goes to theater, he won't come back. And I said to the doctor, I remember, I said, you need to sit me down and explain to me what this tracheostomy thing is. I want to know what is it that you do before I sign those papers to say you can do. And I remember God bless her soul. Because she's a mother too. So she understood. And she's like, "I'm going to sit you down. I'm going to explain to you what it's going to be like." And she sat me down. I remember it took more than an hour. Half the time I was crying. I needed a friend to be there with me so that they can listen for me. Because
you were not,
I was not going to listen.
For me,
I'm in my mother. I'm in my mother instance. I need someone who's going to be my ears to tell me, this is what the doctor was saying.
While you're physically both there.
And I thank God for my friends. Each and every time. Because you guys carried me in a way that, it could be hard to carry someone in that state. You've never been there. I was not okay. Now I'm back at work. My child is fighting for his life. What is the first question that people ask when you come back from maternity leave? How's the child?
How's the baby? Which is a kind, fair thing to say, right? We sent you off to say, I'm going on mat leave. By the way, you also already now you've got postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Like, just to put that out there. So
when that moment happened for my child to be fighting for his life, my mental health was never okay. I was seeing a psychiatrist. I was on anxiety meds. Still is. Antidepressants. Still is. And in that moment, I was not okay. My life was go to work. When people ask you about the child is fine. But you see, it's those moments that we don't realize that God put me in for me to be declaring life over this child. Remember, these people don't know what the child is going through. So when they ask, how's the child? I'm like, oh, he's so good. He's good. He's well.
And according to the devil, you must relate this
massive story
that's looking like the end.
No. But that was me declaring life over that child. And each time I said that, I was very intentional about what I would say. Because I said, I'm declaring life over my son.
And that's what crazy faith is, right?
I had prayers in my phone. When I got to the hospital in his ward, I would declare life over my son.
Who's piped up.
In
every...
And I said, your name is Mngobi. You're a conqueror through Christ, Jesus Christ. Your name is Mngobi. You are going to conquer this.
When you look at Mngobi, the situation is not saying Mngobi.
No. The situation is saying, where's your God? And I said, God, you did not put me through all this at 5 months to experience motherhood and take this child. It's not happening.
Ke a gana.
God, I'm bargaining with you. God, let me remind you
Of your
where you took me.
word also.
Now, there's this child who needs you. Now, I'll tell you one thing. Pediatric ICU is such a mentally not okay place for a mother. Children die in there. Children get resuscitated in there. Sometimes you get in and they're like, no, everybody please get out. We just lost the baby and we need the family to come in. Now you thinking
it could be me.
It could be me.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or tonight. Or as I leave.
Yes. There were times I would leave the hospital. He'd be on 40% oxygen and I'd be like, oh, thank God we're going down on the oxygen. Come back the next day, he's on 100% oxygen. And they said something happened during the night.
I remember those phone calls when we'd be like, Mzala, we're on 40. And literally, sometimes even that evening, you'd be like, they just called, we're back up on 100.
Yeah.
Like it was such a...
Yeah. And even in that time, I remember one of the pediatric surgeons said, 100% of the time, the kids that make it out of here okay is because the parents are okay. That's the time I took a decision. I said, God, I want to cry my eyes out.
Yeah.
Because this is a lot. But I'm not going to do it in that ward.
Yeah.
When I get there, I'm a happy mother. I'm declaring
You
life.
got this.
I'm reading scriptures. There's friends who are calling me and saying, put the phone on his ear. We want to pray for him.
Praying.
And get to the car and cry my eyes out.
Cry sesh.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Right? Because you gave birth to this child. They feed off of your energy.
Yeah.
Best believe.
Yeah. Literally. And fast forward, so I think I lost you at tracheostomy. So tracheostomy is when they open the child up on their neck and they connect the ventilator pipe to the trachea, right? Meaning this child is not able to eat on his own. He was sedated. He was ventilated. His milestones were back.
Yeah.
Fast forward, they tell me, okay, there's a possibility that this child, when he gets discharged, you'll have to go with the trachea, this thing, and he'll have to stay with it for 4 years until he's 4 years old.
Guys, get hit after hit.
I
When you
say-
get over this, it's like...
I remember I said to the nurse, not my child.
Not work.
That time, I think maybe she thought I'm delusional. I said, Nina, when my child leaves here, there won't be anything.
Lulu.
And she's like, yeah, Gabi, but at least learn how to change it. Learn how to... I said, I'm not learning anything. I don't want to learn
I'm
how
not
to
looking
change
at the
it.
situation.
I don't want to learn how to take it out, how to clean it. I don't want to learn. They said, your child needs to go to rehab to get rehabilitated. I was like, my child is not going there. And you guys are forcing it. And I'm not doing it. I said what I said. And that's it. I was not interested. And I remember the nurse said, okay, I'll just email it to you. You'll read it at your own time.
I guess she's also doing her part, right?
Yeah. Fast forward.
This is the fate of the child, according to the doctors now.
Yeah. Fast forward. Child gets woken up, put off ventilation. Thank God. But the trachea is still there.
Yeah.
They clean it. They do everything. Child is maybe, let's say 7 months, 5, 6, 7 months old. But he's a newborn baby because whatever that he did before that is wiped out because of the sedation.
Regression now.
We are back at, I can't sit. I can't feed a bottle. Like I can't feed. Like I can't
I'm
suck
not
a
where
bottle.
7-month-olds
Yes.
with their milestones.
I can't feed off.
Kalsela
Pants. Basically. It's a newborn. Again.
Newborn again.
Yeah.
The same one who was resuscitated 3 times.
Yeah. Fast forward. We get discharged with no trachea. Because I came back one
After
time.
learning the trachea 4 years.
After I said to the doctor, can we please try and see if this child is going to breathe without this thing on? Let's take it off and see.
Motherly instincts. Is that you?
Yeah. And I said, take it off. Let's see.
And they did it.
Yeah.
They were not like, if we
No.
do it, sign what? Like, they were like,
They did it. And we got discharged. And we went to normal ward now. Now, the nurse who accepts us at normal ward from ICU, because now I'm allowed to be there, because it's no longer ICU, right?
Yeah.
So I can stay at the hospital, sleep at the hospital, says, I'm reading this file of this child. I don't know how this child is still alive. After everything. I said, here's the file. How is this child still alive?
File e asiyang wana o.
No. No.
Ha o kgone.
No. And post-discharge, I was told, you do speech therapy, you do physio, once a week for both. I'm back at work. My mom is helping me with my child because she doesn't want me to get a helper, because she's like, I'd rather quit my job and look after this child.
E batla, like, we stop everything.
Yes.
Physio once a week?
Speech therapy.
Once a week.
Yes. Pick up my mom, pick up my son, go to work. I don't know how I was functioning.
Also, remember, work to a certain extent doesn't care. If you're back,
Yeah, you're back. You need to deliver.
you got to deliver.
You need to deliver. So I'm doing that. I'm working. I get done. I take the child to speech. I take the child to physio. On top of that, there's still a pediatric pulmonologist that needs to look at him, because remember, his lungs had collapsed.
Yeah.
So they need to monitor his lungs. Right? And you go to physio and your child is just not cooperating. Because for them, it's like, I'm a newborn. Maramina, when as the physio, you're forcing me to start crawling because age. Remember, we were trying to
There's
catch
a
him up with
disconnect
milestones.
yeah.
He missed them, all of them, because he was sedated.
He was not living a life of umntanawe, like 5, 6, 7 months that he should be doing. He was on a bed, bedridden, piped up, ICU, numb, basically just laying there and non-functional.
Yeah.
So we're back to square one.
Even any adult would have been back to square one. And I thank God for Ngobi's medical team.
Because he sends people. He will send helpers.
Physiotherapists at Park Lane, the speech therapists, the plastic surgeon, the pediatric surgeons, the palmo, the gynae, the fertility doctor. Everyone was there for him without me asking. And they said, we'll carry this load with you. Your child is going to be okay. And can I tell you that my child never crawled. He just walked. One time he just got up and walked.
After all of that.
Yeah. My child right now is 2 years old.
Thriving.
He now says to me, Mommy, am I going to school today?
And he gets into his class
And he says,
he's the life
Mommy,
of...
come. I was told by one of his teachers, and he said, Ngobi is such a happy child that he's happy from when you drop him in the morning until you come pick him up in the afternoon. He's such a joy.
No speech impediments.
No.
No physical...
The Pete Palmer, when I sent him to him, he said to me, whatever God you pray to, continue praying to that God. Because kids who went through what your kid went through are never the same. They're either on some type of medication for life to make the lungs function, or they on this. My child is not on any medication. I don't give my child any drug. He's not taking nothing. I hardly take my child to see a doctor because he's sick. I don't have a sick child. When he's sick, you must know it's because, Gabi.
Yeah.
But it's not he's teething.
You're not living in the
Listen,
hospital
no.
like how the journey started.
Like how you would.
And it's such a contradiction to how everything happened.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like unamanga as well. Like this is not.
It's like also mfaka spice. And I really did want to bring my pictures in. And show the pictures. And I'll share them with you.
Yeah,
because I
we'll
want you to
definitely-
share with your Mama Magnified viewers. Because I want you guys to see this is not a joke.
Guys, you should see Ngobi. You should see him. He is such, and that's why I say she's my shiro, more for her faith, but also that is my lifetime favorite testimony because how?
Kanjan.
And maybe I'm biased because we walked the journey with you, so I know the ins and the outs. I should be the one person actually saying "Awukhonei," because how? So where's Ngobi's mom now? What is the picture looking like for you in your motherhood journey now that the season has changed?
The season has changed physically.
Okay.
But mentally, I'm still getting there. I was diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Because remember, in that moment, I had to be on physio. I had to be on work. Now you don't have to be on anything. Then things are coming back now to say, wow.
So you're saying now that things are fine, that's actually where now the trauma's almost.
What did I just go through?
Yeah, now it's like you're out of a trance now.
My
like,
body's not
so
on autopilot anymore.
Oh.
I'm not doing physio.
Fight or
up and
flight
down.
is
I'm
not.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you got to face it now.
Yes.
But you're facing it in the, like,
Yes. But I'm facing it.
How's that though?
It's deep.
Yeah.
I'm still a firm believer, and I'll always be a firm believer of taking care of your mental health. Because this child that God has saved, his name is Ngobi. He conquered, and he needs a healthy mother. He doesn't need a stressed mother. He doesn't need an anxiety mother, a depressed mother. He needs a healthy, happy mother for him to be a healthy, happy child. And that's what I'm doing. That's why they will say he's a happy child, because that's what I give him.
So you're doing the inner work. It needs to be done.
It needs to be done. And I will never, ever shame anybody with mental illness. I could have been admitted into a psychiatric ward during that time. My psychiatrist till this day doesn't understand why I was not in a psychiatric ward. And I said, I won't.
So the work will always continue. You have it doesn't stop, basically.
Yeah. And I can praise God all I want. Yes, I do go to church. Yes, I do praise God. Yes, I do thank God for saving my child's life. God is there. God showed himself as my healer. So trust you me. Even in this healing phase, he's still my healer. Even though he's not showing up the way he did with Ngobi.
Yeah.
But he's still my healer. Because why? Till today, I'm telling you right now, God will always be my healer. Because there's no one else who could have saved that child from death besides God. If God never had any destiny or plans for this child, he would have died. He wouldn't have came back on those resuscitations.
Because he did die.
Yeah. He wouldn't have came back. But God, if God said no, then who are you to tell me about my God or about my son? Because you don't know. So yes, maybe people, when they see my Instagram, they think you're spoiling this child, you sending your child to the best school, creche, it's so expensive, it's this, is that. It's because they don't know the journey. This child.
At what cost are we here today with him running around?
We had a prayer team from my mom's church meeting up every Wednesday to pray for him.
Without fail.
My mom goes with Ngobi to church every Sunday because she says, when I'm not with Ngobi, the pastor is asking. And Ngobi is such a living testimony of the goodness of God. Not of any man, not of any doctor, but of the goodness of God. That's why even doctors get shocked
Yes.
to be like, how is he normal?
Yeah.
He needs to be at least suffering from something to show that he's been there, right?
Yeah.
If you don't even know what a tracheostomy is, you don't even see the scar.
Sure. Okay. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that the seasons have changed. But every season has the work that you need to put in.
Yeah.
So I think in closing, it would be very fair of you to share or summarize or from your heart, what do you want to share with the magnified mamas out there? Maybe even it could be a father or parent or, what is in your heart that you really just want to impart to everyone? Finishing off sharing this morning. Yeah.
As an independent woman who's used to doing things by herself, I had to allow myself to make other people help me and allow that help. I would share to say, when people help and extend their hand of help, don't decline it because you are in a season where you want to push people away. I could have done the same thing. Allow the help. It takes a village to raise a child. And I saw that with myself. It took how many people? Till this day, people even at the hospital want me to bring him Ngobi because they're like, where's Ngobi?
You post up, baby. I see you. Yeah,
you understand?
Yeah.
Come talk to the other mothers. Share your story. And also in this season is, don't keep quiet about what God has done. The whole reason why God puts us through this is for us to come back and give our testimonies so that the next person can feed off of that and have their faith to be more.
It's for his glory.
Yeah, it's for his glory, right? So even if the mother is going through a lot right now, it's not over until God says it's over. That's how I had to learn. And also at the same time, your support structure, guys, is very important. I had friends who were coming to my house to drop off food because they knew I didn't have time to cook. I had friends who'd pitch at the hospital and say, I know you are here. Come to the coffee shop. Eat in front of me because I know you're not eating. I want to
see you chew and swallow.
Yes. I had you guys calling me, being with me. My mom, going through it with me. My family. And I'm sorry to say this, but not much of help I got from the father's side. So it was never we are going through it together with my family and his family. It was more of me and my family.
Only.
And I'm also now learning also to forgive them.
For your sake.
For my sake.
For that healthy mother picture that you painted that movie. They were not there. Well.
The child almost died. What do you mean? They never came to see the child, not even once. Their dad would come, I don't know, when he feels like it maybe.
Which is also less than...
So for me, just to partake is those people who are in your life as support, allow them to help you when you can't help yourself. Allow help. Don't shut the world out because you are going through something. Allow the help. Allow intervention. Take care of your mental health. Right now, what Gabi does to take care of herself, she goes to the gym. She goes to the therapist. She's on antidepressants. She plays tennis. She's a show-up mother. Like, there's so much that I'm doing to take care of this. Because without this, there's no this. I'm dead.
Oh, Mzala. Wow. What an impartation. And I really am a firm believer that watch the space from Ngobi. Special children like him are not regulars. They really do end up being the head and not the tail. They are what God says. You are more than a conqueror. You named him conqueror, but he's going to live his life and be more than a conqueror.
Yeah.
And with that, Mzala, I really, really want to thank you because this was not easy for you.
No.
It was not easy. It's not easy to be vulnerable and be naked. But I know that you understand the why that this was important. So in closing, I really, really want to thank you. And I really will never stop being a part of your life because we don't only learn about God in his word, we learn about him in our lives, through people in our lives. You are my Shiro.
Thank you.
I will never stop saying that. Magnified family, thank you so much. I hope this really, really, really was insightful, was helpful. And remember that this is part of our pillars of connecting, cultivating, and creating. So the in-between conversations will always help us in just carrying different seasons of our lives. We'll see you at our next podcast. Do take care. Thank you so much.